Trying to find your happiness this winter? Let Fiji Airways fly you there direct. Whether you're sunbathing or snorkeling, dining or dreaming, you'll experience legendary Fijian hospitality. Expect the warmest of welcomes in a specific paradise. Unplug, unwind, and relax in your happy place. Fiji. Get great deals on direct flights to happiness at FijiAirways.com. That's FijiAirways.com. You deserve this. Go from here to happiness, flying direct with Fiji Airways.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Hi, this is Crystal Hardison from Southeastern Livingston Center. I'm the director, and you are listening to Local Leaders, the podcast.
Hey everyone, it's Jim Chapman with Local Leaders, the podcast, and I want to make you aware of a fantastic deal they have going on right now at Fit Body Boot Camp in Denham Springs, Louisiana. If you go to the link getfitdenhamsprings.com/local leaders, you can get $30 off of the regular price of $129 for 30 days of classes. Go to the link, click it, sign up. 30-day classes for only $99 through that link. It's a special deal offered to all of our listeners at Local Leaders, the podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Local Leaders, the podcast. And boy, am I pumped up today. I have a man on my show that knows how to party, knows how to run a business. He makes life here in Livingston Parish that much better, especially with his parties at Casa Maria Mexican Grill in Watson. And that is Mr. Fahim Jamil. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Well, welcome to Local Leaders, the podcast. I've been excited for this one since we met the first time. Been kind of researching you a little bit. You've done some podcasts in the past.
Yes, I have.
That made my job, a little bit easier. I was able to kind of go back and actually watch your podcast on the thread when you did it the first time and rewatched it. Just a few days ago. So as interesting as it was the first time. And you kind of talked about your life. You're from Kabul, Afghanistan originally?
Yes, I am.
You escaped the Taliban to live in the United States at the age of 12.
Yes.
That's a heck of a story in and of itself. So I'd recommend people go watch that because this is going to be about his business, but that's more about his life growing up in that environment and making his way here to the United States. You were a refugee?
Yes, I have. I've been here as a refugee.
Yeah, since 12.
12 years old.
American dream story, right?
Yes.
I mean, you're a business owner now and just rocking and rolling here. You attended Lee High School.
Yes, I have.
A rebel.
I did. I love Lee High School. That was one of my things.
Yeah, Baton Rouge, a very well-known school in Baton Rouge, and you were a good student?
Yes, I was. I was in some honor roll classes.
Yeah.
I was, anytime they had like a function going on, I was the host of it.
Yeah.
So I did some fun stuff growing up.
Not a shy bone in your body, as you say.
No, not at all.
I can relate to that. I've never been accused of being shy. And when you were there at Lehigh, you know, one thing about business owners that I find in common with a lot of us is the fact that we all kind of started work early in life.
Yes.
You know, we weren't 18, 19, we weren't waiting until we finished college to find a job, that kind of thing. You started working at 15?
Yes, I started working as a dishwasher in a restaurant in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
When I was 15 years old.
Mexican restaurant?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Well, that makes sense considering you own one now. And I found it very interesting that you started off at the bottom. So kind of tell me about that experience at 15 years old and finally going to work and how you worked your way up in that company.
Well, I started as a dishwasher in a Mexican restaurant. And I became a server. I became a busboy. Then I attended bartender. Then they're like, hey, why don't you become a manager? You know, you do so well and you kind of know everything in this place.
Yeah.
So I started managing the restaurant while the owner was going out of town, doing this or doing that. And then here I am today.
Yeah.
My own restaurant.
How about that, huh? And how long were you there?
I was working in the restaurant for like probably 10, maybe like a little bit, like 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Then,
you were there a long time.
Yeah. Basically only had 2 jobs since I've been here.
Really? Go ahead. Fahim, dedicated. Very good. And that kind of got, you know, you earned your stripes, as we say. You started out at the bottom as a dishwasher. You moved to a server. You were a bartender, eventually became a manager. Yes. So you're learning that entire business from one end to the other, which is a huge advantage for a business owner. And let's fast forward, you know, a little bit. At some point, I don't know if you decided on your own, I want to open my own restaurant, or if someone approached you with it. Kind of tell me that story.
Yes. Well, I worked for another restaurant for a while, and then I left and I came to Casa.
Yeah.
And I was working for Casa for a little bit. Then I went back to the restaurant.
Okay.
To work over there for probably 2 years. And then I had a call from now is my business partner, Khalid.
Yes.
He goes by Kevin.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, we opening a restaurant in Watson. Would you be interested to be a partner?
Yeah.
And I remember he told me, there's a beautiful truck been parked outside of that parking lot every time I pass by. And you are a workaholic, so I think you should fit in with us.
So he had his eye on you.
Yeah. So he, that was, we kind of talked a little bit, and then, and I took that offer.
Yeah.
And that's how I started my career.
Wow. Were you nervous? Were you like, man, I hope I'm making the right decision? Or was it something there was no way you were turning that down?
No, that was my goal in life. My goal in life was to own a restaurant and work in a restaurant industry.
Yeah.
And when they offered me that position, I just jumped on it. And I don't think I was afraid. I was more excited to see what the future bring me.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's that. You kind of knew where you wanted to go, and that's kind of our first important lesson for today: is always have goals, right?
Yes, exactly.
I noticed that with business owners, there's always short-term goals and long-term goals. And your long-term goal was you wanted to own your own place. You were put in a position at 15 years old to do something that you kind of mastered, and that was every job in that business, which is perfect for what you do now, right?
Yeah.
Very good. So I guess my next question is, so Casa Maria was already in existence, just not in Watson. They had other locations?
Yeah, I think our first restaurant we opened probably, I would say 22 years ago, maybe.
Oh, wow.
It's Casa Maria Bluebonnet.
Yes.
Was our first one to open.
Familiar with that one, yeah.
So,
okay. Same owners?
Same guys.
Gotcha.
Same owners. And then they opened Casa Maria College Drive, and that's where I worked at.
Yeah.
And that's how I became part
famous
of Casa. From there on. You know.
That's right. So you make your way to Watson in 2015, and curious, What did you think about the Watson community at that point? Because one thing that's intriguing about business owners is they all have to choose a location. And I try to remind people on this show that as much as we dedicate ourselves to whatever business it is, they are also dedicating themselves to us. It's kind of a marriage, you know. Y'all could have went anywhere.
Yes, of course.
You know, and you chose Watson. So what was the appeal with Watson?
Well, Watson, I feel like is one of the towns that, like, we had a Casa Maria on Flannery, and a lot of people drove from Watson and Central, and and Denham to come eat there.
Yeah.
So when opportunity opened up for us to open in Watson, I think we jumped on it because we had a lot of followers from this area.
Yeah.
Would go to Flannery all the time. So we just took that opportunity to open up in Watson.
Very, very good point. And, people sometimes when you go to a store or something like that, they'll ask you your zip code.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, I don't know if I want you to know where
I live.
But the primary reason for that is they're trying to figure out a lot of times if they need to put a location there, whatever it is. And if there were a bunch of people that were 70726 and you're buying something off Bluebonnet, well, they're going to know. If we put a store in, that area code, we're probably going to have a lot of customers right off the bat, right?
Yes,
So
yeah, of course.
Very important, that research. If you follow Fahim on Facebook, folks, one thing that's undeniable is you're an amazing father to your son, Aaron. You're always posting stuff on there with you and your son, and I love seeing that stuff. And much like myself, you're a self-proclaimed workaholic.
Yes.
So here's a question that I think people can learn from, and that is, how do you manage and find that balance between being a business owner and being a father? Because both of those things demand a lot of time, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so how do you do that? Sandra Richard has been in the business of selling homes for over 20 years. This award-winning realtor brings the perfect blend of professionalism, integrity, and client satisfaction to every buying and selling transaction. A passion for both her clients and her community makes Sandra the perfect choice when buying or selling your home. So if you're in need, call the Cajun Lady, Sandra Richard, at 225-955-5484, or visit her on the web at sandrasellshouses.com. Sandra Richard, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
I feel like being a father, second job.
Yeah.
and as of being both, father and a workaholic.
Yes.
What in my opinion, what works for me best, I have a great group of people that work for me, and it makes my life much easier. So for over the year, I built that relationship with my employees and customers that, like, my family comes as important as my business.
Yeah.
So I like to make time for both. So I'm always a step ahead on things I do when I have my son with me. So I always have schedules like, hey, I won't be working this, or I'll be leaving early to do this. Yeah, so I like to get involved with both of them a lot. So
very good.
That's it's one of my things that I like to do. I like to make my schedule early.
Yes.
And be ahead of everything, so I make time and I don't run into problems just in case I have my son.
Yes. Well, it's a great idea, and I'll tell you, it's hard, man. It's hard when you're like us, I guess you could say, and we work and look, I'll be the first to tell people I'm a total workaholic. But it's not work to me. It's just life.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm sure you feel the same way. It's it's an old saying, if you love what you do, you never work. No, we work, and we're cognizant that we're working, but it's different. It's just a totally different mindset. And so it's hard to find that balance. I lost that balance for a while. Now I try to I do my best to make it a habit to take my daughters to lunch on Sundays, and that's just like kind of our time to hang out.
Yeah.
The weekends, I'm getting a lot better about spending time with my family than, and kind of putting this podcast to the side for a second. As hard as that is.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's how it should be.
It is.
You have to.
You really do. And you feel better.
Yes.
There's something to be said for interaction with people outside of business. And right.
I agree.
So kudos to that, and love seeing all those pictures, all those things you do with your son, man. I really enjoy that.
I'll try to.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, one thing I find intriguing is that you, speaking of your son, you were born and raised, and like we said, until the age of 12, you were in Afghanistan, a war-torn country you escaped from, and your son was born and raised in the United States. So my question is, do you ever remind him how good he really has it over here versus how you grew up there?
I do. I always remind him. I always talk to him about it. And he's so smart that he asks questions about like, hey, Dad, what's going on here or what's going on there? You believe it or not, like few months ago when, with all the stuff was going on with Kabul and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
He was in the truck and we were talking, and I got a call from my cousin from overseas. So I was talking to him for a little bit. And when I got off and my son asked me, hey, what are y'all talking about? So I kind of told him the story.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
And he had tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
And as he's 7 years old.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting that from him. And he seemed to be very understanding, and he wants to learn. And he hopefully one day get to go back over there to see the differences.
Yeah.
So I always remind him.
Right. And that's his heritage. And as prideful as all of us are in our heritages, it's got to be hard. And you and I had this conversation off camera, but sometimes when you're born somewhere and you've always lived there and you've never been anywhere else and you've never experienced anything else, you really can't relate to what that is like. But imagine yourself leaving the United States and going to another country because you were forced to. You're still going to love that country.
Oh, of course.
I mean, that's where you were. That is your heritage. That's where you were born, and it's not the country, it's the people that are taking it over that are the problem.
Yes,
and,
I agree.
Yeah, and so I sometimes get a laugh on Facebook because people who have never been anywhere else have an opinion.
Yes, I agree, exactly.
You opened Casa Maria Watson in 2015, and folks, when you're a business owner, it's obviously important to know how to lead people. And it's the name of this show, Local Leaders. And I would imagine for you, the best way you led people is that you started out at the bottom of your business. I mean, at 15 years old, you were a dishwasher, and you pretty much did every job on the way up that ladder. So for you, if I'm working for you, that's instant respect for me, because I know that you've been there. You know what it's like to be a dishwasher, right? And it's a busy restaurant and people are throwing plates at you, and it's messy and all these sorts of things. How advantageous has it been for you in running your business that you have done all of those jobs?
Well, I started, as a dishwasher, and I gotta keep moving up in life. And now that I have my meetings with my employees sometime, I don't remind them that I've done everything in the past, but I do it still with them till nowadays.
Yeah.
So there's no job in a restaurant for me that I can't do because I'm the boss.
Right. Yeah.
So I I always tell my employees that the same way, and I tell them, look, I've done it before. it's just a few hours, just get it done, and then, and you go home.
That's it.
I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they take job as personal.
Yes.
If something happens, they take it personal, which is, it's not personal.
Yeah.
We all have our stress days. We all have our bad days.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you bring it to a job and you take it out on somebody else. Or if somebody's busy, you're too good enough to go help them out, and you go sit in the office or watch whatever you're watching or doing whatever.
Yeah.
So I like to get involved with them in every situation, or if it's slow or if it's busy or whatever it is, I'm always with them on the floor.
Yeah.
And
It's an important part of leading. And, even around here, I turn lights on. I mean, I plug things in. I get fussed at for it sometimes, but that's also my way of showing that I'm no better than anybody else around here, and I can sweep floors. And believe me, they remind me I'm no better.
Yeah.
But
that's how it should be.
yeah, I mean, we're all in this together, right? And somebody drops a glass and it crashes on the floor at Casa Maria. I bet you'd be the first one to grab the broom if it was close.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
And so that's leaders. That's to me, one of my biggest sayings is leaders find their broom, and they're never going to ask anybody to do something they wouldn't do.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so 100% great job on that, and I think your staff is really blessed to have somebody there that has done all those jobs. And it's a relation. You can relate to that waiter, just getting totally overwhelmed. And hey, man, I've been there. I know what it's like to have 14 tables and no help. You know, and you just got to dig in and do what you got to do. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. So speaking of your staff. Staffs are important, especially nowadays. It's hard to find them, right?
Very, very hard to find employees nowadays.
Yes. How important is your staff to the success of Casa Maria? Hey, when it comes to podcasting local business, I want perfection. And when it comes to banking, I want personal service, and that's why I bank with Hancock Whitney. Hancock Whitney Bank not only provides me with a local business banker, but also the experience and knowledge only a bank with a history of over 100 years can provide. With over 230 branches in the Gulf South, Hancock Whitney can service all of your banking needs, including commercial lending, small and large business accounts, personal bank accounts, and much more. For more information, visit HancockWhitney.com. Hancock Whitney Bank, your dream, their mission.
The success I have is because of them, even to nowadays. And I make sure we remind them constantly.
Yes.
That's why we have a team, so we can all help each other out.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like my hostess walks around and pre-bus tables and does this and does that, which is, she shouldn't have been doing it, but this is like teamwork.
Yes.
And I feel like they work hard, you know, and there's days I'm at home and I get somebody tag me on Facebook that there's a comment about my employees in the Watson community page, or there's this, it's all positive.
Yeah.
And it makes me proud that, I'm not even there and I get these support, these great things from my employees sitting at home. So it makes me proud that I have I have a good crew that works for me, and I feel like most of them that works for us is kind of handpicked.
Yeah.
And they have the same personality as us.
Yeah.
They are workaholic.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah.
So it makes my life much easier, and I can go talk to people. And I don't have to run around and do stuff because they always have each other's back.
Yes.
And I feel like that's the success I get from them.
100%.
Because they do such a good job,
Yeah. And look, it's it's a reflection of the work you're doing with them. And when people buy in to what you're doing in any business, you want that buy-in. You want people to feel like they own it. They have ownership in that.
Yes.
Because if the ship sinks, everybody loses, right? So everybody's got to kind of pull their own weight. Similar to football, everybody's got to do their job. And if everybody does their job, your chances for success increase. And so in your situation, you're kind of like the coach, and you're going out there because you're the face of Casa Maria, and you're out there and you're greeting people that are coming in, people that maybe they're hosting parties there or whatever. And so you have to rely on those people to make sure that they're keeping kind of just the business operations, the bussing the tables, bringing people to tables, cooking the food, all those sorts of things. So
everybody have that's what I tell them. I tell them, let's say a table of 4 walks in. From that table of 4, everybody makes money from it.
Yes.
A back kitchen cook, the bartender, the hostesses, the busboys, and so as me.
Yes.
So it's not like you have to be a team player in order for it to kind of work for me.
That's right.
I'm kind of rough with them sometimes, but
Sure.
I joke around, and we do crawfish bowls, we do Christmas parties for them. We shut down the restaurant.
Yeah.
So we do a lot to appreciate our employees.
Yes.
And I feel like the reason, because they earn it.
That's right.
They always earn it, and I barely have to basically tell them to, hey, go clean the mirror, go do this, go do that, because I feel like everybody that kind of works for Casa, they kind of expect the same. Like, we always have to be clean. We always have to help each other out,
Yes.
We can't curse in the restaurant. That's one of my rules. So we don't curse, disrespect anyone. So it's a different environment that we run from than other places, some places that I hear stories.
Yeah, right. And I'm glad you brought that up with the cursing, because, one thing we want to impress is Casa Maria is a family environment.
Yes.
It's they have a bar like any other Mexican restaurant you go to, but it's more of definitely way more of a family atmosphere than you'll find at most places. Heck, you won't hear a cuss word out of the employees. Right. It's impressive.
Yeah, we I'm very tough with that, because my son hangs out there a lot.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I want him to learn curse words.
Right.
And even though he does bully the employees all the time and get dollars from them.
Yeah. Well,
But I mean, it's part of his business.
That's it. He's learning early, thing. That's all that is. He's learning early, learning from the best. So very good. Now let's talk about the food a little bit. You can get a wide array of Mexican type food from Casa Maria. My first question is, for those that may not know, is it Tex-Mex? Is it traditional Mexican? Is it a mixture of both? What would you say?
I feel like it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
We are very consist with our food and our drinks, and we have all kind of food. I mean, we have Mexican chili cheese dogs.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
So we have things that most people kind of don't have, or most people probably don't even try to get it on. So we have tacos, hamburgers, quesadillas, burritos,
all the staples.
Yeah.
What about your rices? You've got
we got the Mexican rice, which is
love it.
Somebody asked me yesterday, "Hey man, can you give me the recipe for this? Because I can never go anywhere else to get this rice."
Yeah.
So,
refried beans, all that kind of love, all that stuff. What about if somebody maybe, and I know it sounds weird, but sometimes people pick restaurants and one person's in the mood for one thing, another person's in the mood for another. They end up at a Mexican restaurant. Do you have like steaks or anything like that? Okay.
We do have ribeyes. We have hamburgers.
Yeah.
What else we have? I mean, we have asada sandwich, or a steak sandwich.
Yeah.
Chicken sandwich.
So you're not locked into enchiladas.
Yes,
you can get steaks or hamburgers or whatever if it's date night and one of the two people, the woman always wins. So if the man's not in the mood for Mexican that night, he can have a steak, no problem, or vice versa.
I mean, like I tell people all the time, we have a kitchen.
Yes.
You can create your own dish, and we can make it happen.
What's kind of your top selling food there? Your top selling couple of foods?
So our fajitas are best seller.
Yeah. They're good. I've had them. They're good.
I eat it once a week.
Very good.
And our Baja tacos is unbelievable. Like
really,
Baja shrimp and fish tacos.
Ooh, haven't had those.
They are like one. I think when it comes to tacos, they are like our number one seller tacos. And you believe it or not, we probably sell 4,000 to 5,000 tacos probably a week on Baja Tacos.
No kidding.
Baja, yeah, very popular.
Wow. Very popular. Baja Taco. So, and one cool thing that we're going to do with this episode is I'm going to make, like we just talked about Baja Tacos, I'm going to have it pop up, a picture of that as we're talking so people can get their mouth watering while we're, yeah, there's no doubt. We're going to put the Spanish Mexican rice up there and everything. But another thing you're known for outside of the food, and let me tell you, the food is amazing. I want to impress. The food is amazing. The service is amazing. The atmosphere, family atmosphere, very amazing as well. But you're also known for something else, and that's your margaritas.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I love your margaritas. Now, you offer frozen and on the rocks?
Yes, frozen and on the rocks. We have fruity margaritas. We have top shelf, all kind of top shelf margaritas.
Yeah, I like the top shelf.
Seem to a lot of people like the regular margaritas.
Yeah.
We go through a lot.
Really?
Weekly, daily, monthly, yearly, you name it.
Got a lot of margarita drinkers in town, huh?
We do. Especially when there's a ball game going on. There's a lot of gallons. People buy a lot of gallons of margaritas.
Yeah, and so what's your favorite margarita? What do you like?
I like on the rocks top shelf margaritas.
There you go. So that's a Fahim original. So next time you go, try that out. That's his favorite. Sporting events.
We have all the football games. We have 16 plasma TVs in the restaurant.
Wow. Okay.
So every angle you can see, there's a TV hanging.
Yeah.
And we have all the games, all the baseball games, soccer games, anything you can imagine. We have it on horse racing.
Very good.
We have everything.
Awesome. So there you go, folks. Next sporting event, they're going to have it on at Casa Maria, and you can go check that out, have some great food and all of that good stuff. Now, let's talk 2020 just real quick. And you're rocking along since 2015. You're building a business. It's hitting. People are there. Of course, there was a flood in between that. And I don't know, did y'all flood or?
Yes, we did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did.
Well, I don't want to skip over that. Wow. Tell me about that.
So that was our, that we've been in a business probably like, I would say 8 months, 9 months.
Yeah.
Before that happened. So, first of all, we all live in Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't get to Watson.
No.
And the only way we could talk to someone in Watson is our employees. They were like, hey, can you go check the store?
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get anywhere around Denham, Watson, Central. If you were here, you were stuck here.
Yeah.
And it took probably a good 2 days or a day and a half for us to come out here and check out the store.
Yeah.
But we did have like probably 5 inches of water in our store.
Yeah.
So it wasn't much.
It was enough to mess everything up.
Yeah,
right.
It was, but our floors, thank God, it didn't get busted.
Yeah.
We have tiles floor and everything that we have is 4 inches up from the ground.
Yeah.
So it didn't get to most of the equipment, they get messed up. But most of the walls got messed up, so we had to rechange the wall, the doors, things like that. But we were shut down for a week too.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
To kind of get up and up and going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But in the meantime, we had a lot of food that was going to go bad.
Yeah.
So we actually worked. So all employees, they were all came in to work. So what we did during that time, we made 600 plates with our food that was going to go bad.
Yeah.
And we drove around town from each neighborhood to each neighborhood, and we dropped it off all houses.
Man, that's awesome, dude.
So that's what we did 2016 in the flood.
And let me tell you, and that's an awesome thing. And we're going to get into some of the community things that you do because you're very community minded. But let me tell you the impact of something like that from somebody who was on the other end of it. So I had like 6 feet of water in my house, didn't have a freaking thing left, like everybody else, around me. Probably the closest thing to what you just described, and to tell you the impact of that. One day, this might have been 4 or 5 days after the flood, when I was finally able to actually go down my street and go to my house. The water receded, and we're seeing, everything's gone. And, one of the thoughts, because I had 3 kids and a wife, was toilet paper. I didn't have any toilet paper. All the stores were flooded around me. There was nothing open. Yeah. And I'm like, I can always take care of that. I'll find a leaf, no problem. And this is kind of a weird conversation to have here, but there's a point to it. So during that entire deal, see, we even got background music going on while I'm telling this story. During that entire ordeal, I saw a truck coming down the street. And it's so crazy, man, because I just had that thought. And it was a beat up truck, kind of looked like a construction guy. And he pulls up, and there's a guy in the back of the truck, and he says, "Hey, man, you need some toilet paper?" Swear to you. True story. And I said, "Yes." And he pulls out 2 of these big 24-pack rolls of toilet paper and hands it to me. And Fahim, it was like he was handing me $1 million, because I didn't have toilet paper. I didn't have anything. But toilet paper was a concern because I got kids and I got girls, daughters. Yeah. And it's just different when you have daughters, and so the impact of what you did, you probably will never realize. That guy probably doesn't realize, he literally brought tears to my eyes by doing that. But I realized it. And those people, you may have brought food to people that had no food. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a huge thing. So I just wanted to get kind of sidebar on that. And, obviously thank you for doing that, and wanted to hammer down the importance of people like you that did those things. That was huge in that time. So, but you made it through that flood. You keep rocking and rolling. And then 2020 hits, restaurants were probably the hardest hit of restaurants, gyms, and hairdressers. I always tell people were absolutely just decimated in early 2020, when we all really thought COVID was going to kill us. Yeah. Those first few days, and you're like, I can't breathe on anybody. And what were your thoughts? I mean, I could not imagine being a restaurant owner in 2020 hitting, and you're like, wait a minute, I can't open. I can't, you're telling me I can't operate. What were your thoughts during that time, and how did you get through it?
That's kind of a rough subject.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
So whenever COVID hit, I remember watching the news every day. Every day business gets slower and slower, and then one day the governor comes out and it says, all right, starting tomorrow, nothing's going to be open. Yeah. To-go orders only, and so on and so on. So I remember that was on a Monday night when that happened.
Yeah.
And Tuesdays was our first day to close down.
Yeah.
And I walk into a restaurant, and all my employees kind of got around. They were like, so what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And I sat at the bar. I got a drink. and I told them, guys, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been in the situation,
Right.
I made 2 calls. I called to my business partner, and I asked him, what do you think? And he's been on my life basically all my life. He helped me go through a lot in life and become who I am now.
Yes.
And he said, Fahim, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. He said, this is one of those things that I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, you couldn't even ask for help, because none of us been through this.
Nobody.
So we don't know
Yes.
how things going to go tomorrow. So what we did, we just flip our chairs, sweep the restaurant, we push everything in the bank, and the next morning we opened to do to-goes.
Yeah.
And it was painful.
Yeah.
Because it was one of our busiest days, Taco Tuesday.
Ah.
And we sell like probably 4,000 tacos on one day. And this Taco Tuesday rolls in the next day, and we barely have $400 sales all day.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
So we were just kind of like, we didn't know what was going to happen because I did not think I was going to survive.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you know.
Yeah. That was a tough time, man.
It was very tough. It was very emotional because, like, you know, you go from a packed restaurant, you know, people partying, people hanging out, drinking, having a good time, telling jokes, to like a ghost place.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like one bartender, 2 cooks, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of rough situation to put up with for all those times that we did to-goes.
And you're a people person.
Yes.
So for you need, you know, I'm the same way, and I need people around me. That's my fuel in life and so to take that away and you just don't have that, that's been your life since you were 15 and all of a sudden nobody can even come through the door.
Yeah. It was crazy. I think that was one of my toughest times that I had to deal with myself, how to kind of like not be depressed.
Yes.
Because depression will get you and, and stress.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah. It'll kill you.
Yeah.
It'll kill you if you're not careful.
Kill. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't do nothing. You can't go outside. You can't do nothing. You can basically stay at your house.
Yeah.
Or get casa, one or the other. And, I feel like both of those things were depressing for me.
Yeah.
And I was very depressed. And I think this is one of my most depressing time in my life that I had to go through.
Yeah. And of course, you made it through that. You came out of it, and you're thriving over there at Casa Maria again. So aside from the amazing food, the drinks, the family atmosphere, you're also known for another thing, Fahim, and that is your parties that you have over your parties at Casa Maria. And one of those in particular is up. I'm going to tell you 2 I really enjoy, and all of them are great, but your Cinco and your Halloween parties are off the chain, as the kids say. You really do a great job with those. Let me ask you, that's something that to me separates you. Not a lot of restaurants in particular, they do their little Cinco de Mayo things, but not to your level. You take it to a whole nother level. And I'm talking live bands and ain't no shabby bands either. These are legit bands. How did that idea come into fruition to where you were like, man, I'm going to throw a big Cinco de Mayo. I'm not talking, 10% off your ticket or anything. I'm going to throw a party over here. How did that come about?
Well, when I opened Casa, I was 24 years old.
Yeah.
And
24. Wow.
Yeah, that's when I opened. Guy. And when you're young, you have that hard hate. That, I won't say you want to be better than anybody else, but you want to do better.
Absolutely. Competitive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You want to compete and you want to do this and you want to do that. So before we came to town, my competition did all these big parties and so on and so on.
Yeah.
And I remember my first Cinco de Mayo party, we had a small band, which is we shut down at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Which is just normally time, that's when we shut down the restaurant.
Yeah.
But we were out of there by 11, and then me and my business partner, we drove by my competition.
Yeah.
And they would party, and they had bands playing and this and that. And I look at him and I say, all right, we have to do our homework.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, this is our first year. We don't know anything. We don't know anyone. We want to make sure we could make friendship and so on and so on. And then we keep on. So we were like, okay, sure. So we went and party. We went party places. And the next morning I woke up hangover. And but but it was a competition that was going on between me and the competition that still is.
Yeah.
And they say a few words to me that I didn't like before the Cinco de Mayo event. So I had to get up. I had to actually compete, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So the next morning I got up and I went to Google and I booked. I don't know anything about bands, and I'm not a country singer, and, I wasn't in country music back then, and I was just new to all this.
Yeah.
So I typed the best local bands, and so on popped out, and I kind of watched their videos, and I kind of thought, okay, maybe this was going to be good for me. This is good. So I made them call the next morning.
Yeah.
And I booked these guys for Cinco a year from there.
Wow.
And they were like, dude, it's so early. And I said, well, I have to have a plan.
Yes.
Make a plan to get where I'm at.
Yes.
And then so Cinco rolls around, and none of my business partners know this. I'm doing this party, except one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 3 months before Cinco, everything kind of rolls in. And then we have Bag of Donuts and Chase Tyler Band. Ooh. That's my first party, probably 5 years ago.
Yes.
And we, I advertised it, and I had a whole year to figure out how a restaurant's not too big, in order having these bands, I have to have something big outside in order to do a big party.
Sure.
So it was just like all these great people that kind of give me idea and work along next to me, and and taught me how to do this, and get a stage and did this. So they work with me, and Cinco rolls around, my first Cinco, and we had over 7,000 people there.
Y'all hear that? 7,000. I think you won that battle that year.
So that's how everything's
1,000 people.
It was unbelievable. I remember calling my business partner because we didn't think the turnout was going to be that big.
Yeah.
I didn't personally think it was going to be that big, and so as my business partners, they didn't think that was going to be that big until the week of. The week of, our phone was not stopping.
Yeah.
What time the party started? What time? So then I called my business partner, I remember, and I said, hey, man, I think this is getting way too big. And he said, you're the one wanted to buy a boat, and now you gotta go fishing.
That's right. Look, best advice you could ever get. That's it. You want a boat, you're going to go fishing.
He said, you got to go fishing.
That's
He said, just go for it. Do your best and see how that happened. But, we had bouncers. We had the whole 9 yards just in case it got that big.
Sure.
And the party was, I think, in my opinion, like we hit the target.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so.
It was perfect. It was well planned. Everything that we did to keep trouble out, or to have not have any fights, to not have any argument between people. It was perfect.
Yeah.
With 7,000 people, we didn't have to arrest not even one person.
That's unbelievable.
And the next morning when I got up, I probably had 75 missed calls and text messages telling me, congratulations, you did it. Congratulations,
awesome,
you did
man.
it.
That's
so
awesome.
It was one of those big things for me that, I feel like that was the only time that I had to kind of work crazy hard to get that goal. And then now I work hard, of course, every day.
Sure.
But it built up over the years.
Yeah,
and it gets easier and very easier,
It takes a life of its own because people tell people at that point, and all of a sudden you got 7,000 sales reps running around for you saying, go to Casa Maria for Cinco, trust me, those sorts of things. And every year it just, it's a great event. And you mentioned those two bands you had that first time, and I bet they were happy. They were like, man, we want to do this every year. This is phenomenal.
I remember Bag of Donuts played, and they were leaving.
Yeah.
And then Chase was coming on the stage next, but Chase had 2-hour break, and, he was playing music, so he was having a good time.
Yeah.
And he called me in the stage before he get on, I think 10 minutes before the show was about to start, he called me on stage and he said, hey, Fahim, I want you to come see this. And we both got up on the stage, and he looked at me, he said, I'm going to tell you one thing. He said, you done this. I didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just a band. I just came here to play.
Yeah.
And he said, all these people, they all here because of you.
Yeah.
And he said, I just want you to know that you done a great job or and I remember him telling me this is one of the biggest crowd that he's about to play in front of in his hometown.
Wow. That's amazing, man.
And you believe it or not, we both had tears in our eyes.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah.
It was so hard work that it paid off over the years.
Yes,
and I was very emotional.
Yeah,
I was very emotional. Right?
Yeah,
he gave me a hug and he said, "Now get out of my stage."
Yeah,
I got a job to do.
You're not the star. I love it. And it's 100% true. And that's our another lesson for today that these people can take away is hard work does pay off.
Yes,
and when you set goals and you refuse to lose, you're typically going to achieve that goal. And what I mean by refuse to lose is you do everything you can do to make it happen. Everything you can do. Let me tell you, if I have a goal, sleep is not going to be the reason that I didn't hit that goal.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, because that I can control.
Yes.
You can anything I can control, I'm going to make it happen. And I love that. And another thing that we share. But he's absolutely right. You earned it. And speaking of Cinco de Mayo, it's right around the corner.
Yes, that is.
Man, I can't wait for it. And this year you have a party to be just, I mean, I don't know who your competition is out there you're talking about, but they better worry because you've got Chase Tyler, Molly Ringwald's, and Parish County Line coming to Casa Maria.
Yes, yeah, and we are very excited. We expecting a lot of people. We kind of changed the name to Cinco Watson Fest.
Cinco Watson Fest, yes.
So
past
3 years
community,
ago, yeah,
right?
Yeah. So we try. It just is getting bigger and bigger, and we try to get people involved to sponsorship and this and that. So we have a lot of great sponsorships. Companies that has been helping us out, and so it's going to be a great party this year, and we can't wait.
Really is, and one thing I'll say, and that I was really impressed with, and I want to take some time and talk about this, is totally safe at these events. And what I mean by that is one thing I notice at your events that you have outside like this, these big parties, is there's a lot of sheriff's deputies there, police officers. And you're kind of doing two things. One, you're giving these guys some work, right? You're giving them, you're paying them to be there and provide security. And these guys need that. So you're providing them a community service, but you're also making it ultra safe for us. Not once have I ever been to any of your events and they packed the house. Y'all packed the house. Not once have I been to any and felt anything other than totally comfortable.
Oh yeah.
And I love that, because I'm there to have fun. I'm too old to fight. Yeah. You know what I mean? There was a time, Fahim, back in the 90s, but I'm there to have a good time, eat, listen to some great music, and be amongst friends. Yes, and that's what you're going to get, man. Yes. That's what you're going to get over there.
We usually get a lot of locals, a lot of basically the whole town of Watson, and then it comes out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Love it. Now, let me give you a scenario. Let's say I called you and I said, hey, I've got a birthday party for a friend of mine, and there's going to be 20 of us. Number one, do you accommodate reservations for big groups like that for parties?
Yes, we do. We take a reservation almost every day except Fridays and Tuesdays.
Gotcha. So there you go. Do you have private rooms or these open rooms?
They're just open rooms, but we also have a patio. If you have 60 or 70 people more, we literally have the whole patio.
Well, there you go. 60 or 70 people, they got room for you there. So, hey, company parties, right? Yeah. Company events, they can accommodate you at Casa Maria, no problem, in Watson. So give them a call out there for that. And I do want to say, Fahim, and kind of get your opinion on this. Now, I think the restaurant business is probably the toughest business relative to just stress. It has a very high failure rate, and I'm not quite sure why that is. Obviously, there's a lot of restaurants out there that you're competing with constantly. And stress just kind of comes along with it. The hours, I think, contribute to the stress a lot. It's not like a 9 to 5, right? I mean, you're open when everybody else is closed.
Yes.
And then when you close, you've got several hours of cleaning to do for the next day. So how do you deal with that stress? How have you managed to kind of deal with that and be successful?
Restaurant industry is always success, even though if you have one of the best crew, best employee, the best clean restaurant. Every day when you wake up, you're going to have a text message that, hey, we don't have this, or we don't have that. You don't have that.
People forget about that, but you got to order this stuff. And it's a guessing game sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is. But overall, man, in my opinion, I feel like it has a lot of stress. Restaurant industry is not for everyone.
Yeah.
I have to say that if you kind of lack off, and you keep lacking off, you lose your track in the restaurant industry, and you just things piles up on you, and you have more stress, and you're probably going to give up if you're not into it.
Yeah.
But I love it. That's my dream job, and I over the year, in my opinion, I don't take it too personally. Let's say if I'm out of something, I'm out of something. I'm just gonna wait till the next morning and go get it.
Yeah.
And people understand that. But I try not to have a lot of stress on my plate.
Yeah.
Because you have your family, you have to run.
That's right.
You also have a restaurant of 50 and more employees that you have to run. So you're running a big business with a lot of people's lives. So you have to make sure everybody gets paid. Everybody shows up to work, and everybody has to do their job while they're there. And you have to order everything that in the restaurant industry runs. But you do got to realize us from a seafood restaurant is completely two different things.
Yeah.
They only have a few things that they can order. They have to worry about. We have to order everything.
Yes.
Seafood, steaks, rice, beans, so on and so on and so on. You name it. Tequilas, you have to order 20 different tequilas.
Yeah. That's a great point.
So I don't let stress bother me. Just because I've done it for so many years, and I kind of have a expectation of what I need to be doing tomorrow.
Right.
And I try to stay ahead of it. If not, then I back up, because I do make schedule every week. So even if I'm on vacation, or I'm not on vacation, or I'm at home, I have to make my schedule for my 52 employees weekly.
Yes.
So everything changes, their schedules. And sometimes, when you order food, to-go boxes changes. So you have to be on top of everything to kind of keep the ball rolling. That's a
great point. And, a lot of people don't realize that when you're you and me and a lot of these business owners, you're also managing people. And, so you deal with a bunch of stuff with, this person's gossiping on me and they're being mean, and you're dealing with all that. You've got people that got serious personal issues. Maybe their kid's sick or something like that, so they have to take off. Now you're juggling schedules. You're calling people in. I mean, there's a lot to running any type of business where you have employees, but especially one with a large staff like what you have at Casa Maria. And you do a great job with it. I want to read your leader statement. So in your questionnaire, I asked you, basically, how would you define a leader? And I thought what you wrote was fantastic. So I want to read it verbatim. You said to be understanding and involved in your life, your business, and the people around you. You're always working hard to be better. Love that. And a leader shows up all the time. Be understanding and involved. You are always you always are working hard to be better, and a leader shows up. 100%, man. I can't even add to that, man. I agree with that 100%. And really that to me is the key. Just because someone's a leader doesn't mean that they don't, work hard to be better every day. And that's what I do. When I wake up every day, I just want to be better than I was the day before in my personal life, in my business life, because none of us are perfect.
Yes.
All of us make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them and not continue to repeat them. And so I agree with your leader. You are absolutely a leader. And I appreciate you. Believe it or not, we've been going 57 minutes, Fahim. 57 minutes. And I know it seemed like 5 because we're having so much fun around here talking about your business. But almost an hour in. But did you have fun?
Yes, I had a great time.
Very good, man. Very good. We love what you're doing with Casa Maria Mexican Grill in Watson. And I'm gonna promote some things with obviously your Cinco coming up, and I'll be there with bells on and margarita in hand.
There you go.
So excited about that. I do want to thank all of you out there for listening to Local Leaders, a podcast. And Fahim, if they want to find you online, I know you have a Facebook page, which is very active. You post a lot of your foods on there and things like that. Where can they find that? Just search?
Casa Maria Watson on Facebook. And also if you Google Casa Maria Watson, our menu page up and our menu pops up. And also it tells you what Facebook, and you can order through Waiter, through DoorDash.
Very good.
You can call the restaurant and order as well.
Fantastic. So, and I'll link his website, his Facebook, and all that sort of stuff to the description of this video, so people can just go down there, click it, and go right to your page. Give him a like on Facebook under his Casa Maria page. You'll really enjoy the stuff they post there. They take some great pics, and if anything else, you'll be hungry every time you go to Facebook because you're going to see some good food. There's no doubt about that. So I want to thank all my sponsors as well for supporting this show. I could not do any of this without all of these people and their support. I really do mean that. And until next time, I am Jim Chapman, reminding you, love your community, support local business, just like Casa Maria Mexican Grill in Watson, and keep leading. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.